Hello guys, Jasas Bediat. Today I will tell you something about my very first Game Boy game. It's the Amazing Spider-Man 2, developed by Bit Studios and published by LGN in the year 1992. I remember watching a VHS tape of the Submariner back then, where I've seen this wonderful commercial.
It's Marvel Comics' Amazing Spider-Man like you've never seen him before, in 4 action-packed video games. Spider-Man comes to the NES in revenge of the Sinister Six. Dr. Octopus has assembled Electro, Mysterio, Hobgoblin, and more. Only you can disarm his evil plan to rule the world. For portable web-swinging action, it's Spider-Man 2 for Game Boy and Spider-Man for Game Gear. You'll need your spider sense when you take on supervillains Venom and Carnage. Get ready as Marvel Comics' Dream Team bursts onto Super Nintendo in Spider-Man and the X-Men in Arcade's Revenge. It'll take all your mutant powers, Spidey's webs, Wolverine's adamantium claws, Cyclops' optic blasts, Storm's lightning, and Gambit's exploding cards to foil Arcade's diabolical plot. Marvel Comics' Amazing Spider-Man on NES, Game Boy, Game Gear, and now Super Nintendo. If this is too much action for you, take it up with this guy.
This was the very first time I've ever heard about the Nintendo Game Boy, and I knew what will be my only wish for Christmas this year. It was also the beginning of a relationship that lasts until today. Now let us see how amazing this game really is, but I will play it on the Super Game Boy for a better view. You know what? You wouldn't call me the GreekGameBoyGeek if I didn't use a self-made Super Nintendo controller. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is an action platformer with puzzle elements. You need to collect items in the game and figure out what to do with them to beat the bosses and reach new areas. The game starts with a cutscene in form of a comic. You will see several of them during gameplay, and these comics are the only hints you will get to beat this game. First of all, the graphics are quite good, the sprites of Spider-Man and his foes are very detailed, and the developers found also time to program a Spidey exercise to increase your biceps. Come on guys, is this a joke? Spider-Man walking through New York pumping his biceps to the maximum? The status bar on the bottom of the screen is nice designed and very helpful. It tells you when you are in danger in form of your spider senses, also your weapons in form of a net, your health, the boss health, your strength level and your remaining lives. One thing I need to complain is that the item which increases your strength and the extra life look the same. And when you play this game the first time, it is a little bit confusing. Was it really so difficult to create an extra sprite for the life? Like a, I don't know, Spidey head or a spider symbol? When we are already talking about items, there are 2 different types of them in the game. On one hand, you have the items that are supporting Spider-Man, like increasing his strength, giving him extra lives or weapons and small hearts to refill his health. These hearts are also the only items dropped by beaten enemies. On the other hand, you have the items to solve puzzles to get further. For example, you need to find the gas can after beating the Hobgoblin to fly with his glider to the next area. You can switch these items by pushing select because they work only if they are selected. Pressing select is a good start to explain the controls of this game. In most parts they are running smoothly and there is no delay that reduces the fun of the gameplay. But one thing that drives me really crazy is that they switch the A and the B button. I mean, it is known that there is an unwritten Nintendo law existing that A is for jumping and B is for action, and Bit Studios knew it because in Terminator 2, which was released 1 year earlier, they used the Nintendo configuration. Don't get me wrong. There are many good games with switch buttons and after first time pressing, it is no big deal, but when a company has already experience with programming a game and already knew how to make it right, how is it possible to mess this up? But okay, That was their decision and we need to live with it. Anyway, our friendly neighborhood spider can use his fists to punch his way through New York, and this will be the most common attack because his jump kick, by pressing jumping and hold the jump button, is more or less a nice to have, but not to use. Spider-Man is also the only person which has a stronger punch than a kick, but what are you expecting from someone who is making biceps exercises 24/7?
Yeah, Lizard, I will kick your ass after finishing my biceps exercises.
You can use your webbings to swing and climb on buildings and also use them to paralyze an enemy for a short time. But to be honest, except for the lizard, it is no good idea to use this technique, because it is only wasting ammunition since webbings are limited in this game, and trust me, you will need them in the final part. Let's talk about enemies and all they bring with them. For my opinion, there they have made the biggest mistakes. The hit detection is awful, and when I say awful, I mean really awful. But not to them. It is your own hitbox which has an evil random movement generator built in. Sometimes you are getting hit without an enemy touching you. Especially at the amusement park where you need to ride this roller coaster from hell and you need to repeat and repeat because an invisible object is pushing you down. And if you are the lucky one, the flying curve will drop you directly in the transformer, which is an instant death. The henchmen are no big deal, but the flying drones and the bats, oh man, they are really annoying. Now imagine, you are crawling through a small pipe in the sewer while the lizard is attacking you without any chance of defense and the skeleton is showing you a middle finger, and if this wouldn't be enough, after jumping on a wall, which saves you from this nightmare, a small Malakasmeni bat hits you and you fall down where the lizard is waiting for you. The bosses. Beat Studios were really creative at this category. The bosses have all their unique special abilities. Like Hobgoblin is crouching and you can't hit him while he is in this position. The lizard has sometimes dementia and forgets to transform back to Kurt Connors after his energy bar is reduced to 0. And yes, also if you have the antidote, it is possible that he gives a fuck on the rules of the game. Carnage is my personal favorite. You can't beat this guy. Also, he's spawning always in the right position where he either cuts off your way or directly falls on you, and mostly you are getting pushed in the hazards which kill you. For me, he is the ultimate boss and he deserved it. He really deserved it to be on the game cover. The fight against Graviton is like a walk through the park and Mysterio. I really enjoyed it. In this final battle, you need to find the real Mysterio out of his holograms by using your spider senses, and it is tricky to be fast enough before he attacks you. When you beat Mysterio and after his blimp explodes, a short cutscene will start and Spidey saved the day again. So this was the Amazing Spider-Man 2. All in all, it is an average game. LGN and Beat Studios had some good ideas, and they tried to make the job as good as possible, but failed at some points. To include puzzle elements was a great way to keep distance from a simple platformer. The Hobgoblin, the Lizard, Graviton, Carnage and Mysterio leave no wishes open for a Spidey fan. But the bad programmed enemies and at some points weird game mechanics make it hard to keep the fun on the same level. I remember that I was disappointed when I played it for the first time and I wasn't even able to pass the first area. But with the years, Spider-Man 2 evolved in a classic game and on its own way. It's a gem in my collection which keeps childhood memories alive and has a special place in my heart. So I hope you enjoyed this small trip in my first Game Boy game experience, and don't forget, I'll be back.